and most health food enthusiasts that agree that meat is okay to be as part of your diet. It should be eaten proper proportion, 3 to 5 ounces per serving, not every day, not every meal of every day. But if you're gonna have some meat, remember palm of your hand, deck of cards, 3 to 5 ounces. Remember, it's okay to portion off and have it for another meal, breakfast, leftovers for lunch tomorrow. It's okay. You don't have to fill up on meat like you used to. You want to be healthy, reduce, and eat the best quality meat that you can. So we are all in agreement that grass-fed beef is the best beef for you. Grass-fed meat in general. Any meat that is fed, the animal is fed, what it naturally would eat if it was in the wild. So if you want to have cow, if you want to have meat, you want to make sure that it's grass-fed or as organic and as less hormones as it possibly can. So on that note, my grocery store has these individually sealed packs. My butcher, that's local, they have grass-fed beef in the freezer section, grass-fed beef. I think they have some buffalo, bison. I've seen chicken without hormones, but I've not seen specific grass-fed chicken or ground chicken. But usually you can find this more prevalent these days. So we're gonna make meatloaf. But instead of making just one meatloaf, I'm actually gonna make meatballs. They're just a little bit more fun. They cook up a little bit quicker. And my meatballs and meatloaf is one of my family's favorites. It's one of our family good foods. We don't eat it very often. It's usually on a big event, like a Super Bowl Sunday or something that we're actually gonna spend some time together and just kind of sit down and hang out. So make sure you take all of the little diapers off the beef. And it's just a little bit thicker than what you're used to, fresh ground. It's not as loose as the ground beef. It's a little bit tighter since it's sealed and packaged in this airtight package. Okay, now that I've done what I always do, which is get my hands in the meat, I need to wash them. Okay, you do have to get your hands in generally when you're making meatloaf, meatballs. You need to mix it up. So what I do is I salt very well, put in some peppers. If you have kids who don't like onions, make sure you get out that chopper and really chop those onions down. When you cook the meat, you're cooking it at a 400-degree temperature, so they almost dissolve and they don't even know that they're in there. But my daughter has an eye for these things, so I usually use an onion powder or a minced onion, dried onion flake. But she loves the flavor of the onion. She just doesn't know that. I do add some breadcrumbs. What I did was I toasted up some of that Ezekiel bread and I ground it down. I added a little bit of Italian seasoning. And then you're going to want a binder. So you're going to want a little bit of an egg. Always got my hands dirty. Guess I never realized how much I washed my hands until I started recording these videos. Didn't realize how much I touched. Mix this up with a fork a little bit first. You can put a fresh clove of garlic in here. You can add rice to it if you want to do like a stuffed pepper. I do a really good stuffed pepper and I add rice, ground beef, but we cook it first. So when you cook the ground beef and you make sure it's well seasoned while it's cooked, then you can mix it with some organic tomato soup. And it's usually concentrated in the concentrate form. So that gives a really great flavor. Alrighty, I need some more breadcrumbs. Wish you could put half an egg in. I probably should have put a little less egg. I'm so messy. Don't do this at home. This is why I have paper towels on hand. I don't like reusing. It's not sanitary to reuse towels after you wash with raw meat and all that. Okay, if I were to be making my traditional meatloaf right now, I would add in some Worcestershire sauce or A1, and I know I said it wrong, but that's okay. You know, that steak sauce. And you don't want to mix up the meat too much. The more you mix it, if you're gonna go more than what I just did, you're gonna make the texture change a little bit. So while you're mixing and getting all this ready, make sure your oven's hot at 400. You want to get a good crisp and a good brown on whether you're making a whole meatloaf or the little meatballs. Meatballs take about 20 minutes, sometimes 30, and then meatloaves may take 30 to 45. So depending how big, are you making a whole pan, you definitely have to gauge. And I'm a big advocate of just hacking into it and seeing if it's done. You can also get meat thermometers and make sure as well. Okay, so we're gonna make some spinach meatballs, and actually, you know what? I'm gonna make some of my traditional ones too. So we get some good ketchup and mustard. Ketchup and mustard just rolls off the tongue. You know, this just, I think it needs more seasoning. What else can we put in here? How about, no, what else do we have? You know what, we have a little of my homemade blend here. Little Southwest spice. Just to give it some pepper. It's got some cayenne, paprika. So as we roll this up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to portion this in half. We're going to roll up some of these with some garlic, sauteed spinach. And the other half we're going to mix up with our A1 and our ketchup. Okay, so just roll up the balls that you want, the size that you want. I would probably try to make sure the spinach is more or less in the middle. You can add, again, you can add anything to these. If you want to add quinoa to stretch the meat, you can. You can add sausage seasonings. You can add fennel and get a sausage flavor out of the meat. Just line your pan. The garlic is just wafting up. It's going to season this meat really well. I'm a big fan of coating it with a little bit of ketchup and A1 on the outside as well, so we'll give it a nice little splash of sauce on the outside. These go good. You can put them right on a salad as your meat on the side, because you don't need a lot of meat. They can go right with your grain bowl. If you're making some grains. You know, I have plastic gloves in the storage pantry. I should use those. This guy needs a little help. And if they all come out like mush, well, then you have ground beef meatball mush. Cooking is not a science. It's a little bit of science so that you don't get yourself sick, and it's a lot of art. The biggest art of the cooking for me and my family is figuring out the taste and the flavor that we want. Do we want a spice? Do we want a salt? All right, I gotta wash up again because I gotta put these seasonings in. All right. Not only do I put it on the outside, I put a little on the inside. These two have plenty of salt and spices in them on their own, so you don't need a whole lot of additional spices when you add. You know, I got a little more breadcrumbs in there, might as well use them up. Sprinkle these with a little breadcrumbs. It'll get toasty on the outside. Without the spinach, it rolls up a lot easier. Spinach is slippery. You can always just save it and put it on top of the dish if you wanted to make the meatballs a little bit simpler. And it's okay to pack the pan full. It's okay. I'm going to put some foil on these and pop them in the oven for 10 minutes, take the foil off and let them go for another 10 minutes. So my camera cut out right at the end of before I put my meatballs in the oven, and I just want to say that once you roll all your meatballs out, you cover them with foil at 400 degrees in the oven. You bake them for about 20 minutes, take off the foil, bake them for another 10 minutes, and then bring them out of the oven. They should be done. You might want to test them. I always test meat, make sure it's done. And then you want to let them sit for 5 or 10 minutes and let all the juices kind of come back into the meat and rest. Let the meat rest. And they just got really nice and brown. And I'm trying to think what else. The grass-fed meat tastes a little bit different if it's your first time having it. And the fat drains off of it just a little bit different as well. But once you have it and once you taste the difference, and here's my phone. And you can tell just how wonderful the better quality meat is for you. You'll be so much better off. So definitely make some meatballs. Enjoy. They're so good. Have a meatball. I'm gonna start over. So my camera cut out right before I was about to tell you, you wrap the pan of meatballs in foil, bake them at 400 for 20 minutes, take the foil off, let them bake for another 10 minutes. They should be done at that time, as long as they're about this size, you know, about a 1-inch ball size. And you can make these in a big batch, freeze them for later. Once they're cooked, you can get them out anytime you want. They're great, cook once, eat twice meals. You don't have to eat them all at one time. What else can I say about them? Add some great homemade marinara sauce to them, or pop them on a salad, do whatever you want. Once you let them rest for a little bit, all the juices will come back up and they won't run out of the meat. So it's just like a steak. You want to let your meatballs rest for a little bit and then serve them up. They have a really good taste. Especially the spinach ones. They're so good. Be creative, be social. Let me know what you do. Send me pictures, send me tips. Let me know what you create with your roasted, grass-fed, farm-raised, ground beef recipes. See you in the next video. Be healthy. Bye-bye.